Hey guys, we got a really awesome guest today. We got John Hoich coming on, who is almost like a grandfather of Omaha.
Sage.
It's a lot of wisdom. This podcast starts out a little bit quiet, slow, and works into one of the most beautiful podcasts we've done.
Yeah.
Definitely stick around and watch this whole thing. You even get to hear John sing at the end, so you get to watch for that. Just an awesome podcast. John has done so much in town. He had a giant landscaping company around the whole U.S., contracts with the government. He's done a ton of philanthropy work here in Omaha, and it sounds like in the nation as well. He's got, 2,600 units that he owns real estate-wise for apartment complexes and things like that.
Survived an alcoholic father.
Survived an abusive alcoholic father. He's had a crazy story and upbringing. Awesome one to watch. Definitely watch this one all the way through.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for the listeners out there, this is completely funded by our real estate business. We don't ask for anything in return. It's strictly to get out the voice of some amazing leaders in the Omaha area. So please don't hesitate one second to click and subscribe to this podcast. We'd love to keep you on hook for watching and following what's going on here. Every single podcast we have on is through a lens of bringing value to you and hopefully gleaning some information that will help you in your life, business, or pursuits. So please don't hesitate to click the link and subscribe button. Let your friends and family know about this. That's how this thing's travel as fast as possible, is you're learning from the mouth of the leaders of how they got to where they're at and the trials and challenges they've encountered and how they've overcome them. So please pass it along with your friends, and can't wait to have you at the listen to the next show.
Let's get into the podcast.
So it's really a casual entry. It's really, the idea is you're basically eavesdropping on a really cool conversation with something that's really interesting. You don't get an opportunity to hear talk with people on a regular basis because they're so busy and they're operating at a really high level. So it gives people an insight to kind of just, average Joe's talking to somebody who's beyond average.
Yeah, we don't have a structure to the podcast. We decided not to do it like, so John, tell us about all your processes to get here. It's not like that. It's just more of a conversation we would normally have with you if we wanted to chat with you or if you chatted with us.
Yeah, glean information and kind of how your brain works to get where you've gotten, and how that growth and the failures along the way are, challenges and growth moments, if you will, so for somebody that's been doing things at such a high level as long as you has, I'm sure, has a wealth of knowledge that we could definitely, and people listen would
learn from.
Yeah. So you graduate from West Side. You've been in Omaha your whole life.
Born in Council Bluffs.
Okay. Crossed the river, Kentucky.
January 1958, came over on the Mayflower, landed in Omaha and pioneered this city.
Yeah, with your own bare hands, with the grit of your teeth. Yeah.
And came over, lived at 33rd and Madison with my father and mother, and then sisters born, 4 sisters and a brother.
Okay.
And lost my brother. He was 21 when I was 31, a bad heart.
Oh, wow.
And just had a very, very obstructed childhood. It was probably one of the worst that I've heard, and it was my own. So that wasn't fun.
Yeah.
So I had a hard upbringing in an alcoholic father family.
Sure.
And grew up in District 66, finally moved to 90th and Westridge Drive area, and then lived at Westridge from about 2 years old till 16 years old when my mother died of stress from my alcoholic father's abusiveness.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And so I was in 6 foster families.
Oh, wow.
Throughout the Burke and District 66 area from 10 to 19, was a ward of the state from 10 to 19. And mother and father divorced when I was 10. So it was oldest of 6 kids and trying to be a dad, a brother, and a kid all at once.
It's a lot of heavy lifting. Wow. Were you able to stay in contact with your siblings while you guys were all the
every minute, all my life? Yeah.
Yeah. So that became your nucleus and just like your power source.
Went to the greatest high school in the world, Westside High School.
Home of the John Hoich Alumni Center.
Well,
right there in 90th Pacific.
Very honored to be part of that. The story behind it is a wonderful thing, helping 34 boys and girls that have written 300-word essays, why they had a life of adversity like I did, or their own story, and how they overcame it with a hand up and not a handout that I can give them in a college scholarship.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So then started that at 30, and I'm this year will be my 35th year.
Oh, wow.
So it's, loving on people, giving God the glory and never giving up and helping those that want to help themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of what my whole life has been, and focus has been on my own sisters, my brother, and then and building my business, and my twin boys who are 25. I expressed the living a life of appreciation and not expectation, which will change the whole world.
So for somebody that has had so much at a young age, a lot of heavy lifting, broad shoulders, that could have went a very different direction. I mean,
that's my book called From the Ground Up by John Lee Hoich. It's not just business. So it's, instead of feeling sorry for yourself or, trying to make excuses and lies of why you should do drugs or alcoholism or all the different addictions that are out there to choose from.
Yeah.
I did choose one called workaholism.
Yeah.
But I kind of look back and find that it didn't help marriage much, but it did outdo the other addictions, to the outcome.
Yeah.
Was favorable, so that I was able to, in my career, give $8 million back in kind and money to nonprofits and programs, to help others with a hand up.
That's amazing.
Not a handout. It's kind of my continuing goal in life between now and my death and perpetually after, with my John L. Hoich Foundation, to continue to help, people in drug, alcohol, mental illness, and kids that are overcome adversity through the John L. Hoich Center for Recovery at the Stevens Center, the Hero Program, Westside High School, and Lakeside Hospital. I think it's a great program with their faith-based programs that they have as a great hospital, and Rotary. I love Suburban Rotary, Omaha Suburban Rotary. I just got this month my 45th perfect attendance. So, but there I've given 40 handicap scholarships through the Rotary Club.
Oh, that's cool.
awesome.
Mostly have been West Side recipients. So
Nice.
that was additional to the other kids. So I love helping handicap, underprivileged, those that just have a little bit of struggle like I did throughout my life. Takes one to know one.
Yeah, right.
Totally.
When you were, kind of bringing it back to the foster care, you said you live with 6 families. Is that right?
6 different foster families.
So how did your ability to read rooms, assess situation, you were seeing so many different dynamics so rapidly.
And that was from 10 to 16. So it was,
one per year, basically.
Yeah. It was. My mom kept having nervous breakdowns, and each time we would all get split up to different homes, and it was tough.
So you would get split up from your siblings.
In most cases, we were all split up. A couple towards the end, my one sister and brother and I were together, but it was very hard on them, very hard on me. And today I that we're all together in Omaha except for my brother that died. So the 5 of us are still very close.
That's awesome.
Since you were the leader of the family at that point in time, what was that message to your younger siblings? Like, what did you?
Well, the day that our mother died in the morning as a junior at Westside, the pastor said, that I know you love Jesus. I know you're a godly young man, but at the same time, you can't be a boy anymore. You got to become a man.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like,
at 16.
Man, I didn't sign up for this. Kind of like going into Vietnam, and it was like signing up for the service. And it wasn't volunteer.
Right. It was mandatory.
It was mandatory. And so it was a hard shoes to get into. And quite frankly, I've never kind of got out of them. It's still filled with lots of responsibilities my entire life. So I didn't have as much fun as a kid that I wanted to. And I didn't have as much fun as an adult that I wanted to, because I became that workaholic and building my business and just sold it a couple of years ago. But it's been 46 years.
So are you having fun now?
I am trying to.
Learning how.
Learning how to have fun.
Right? Like learning how to manage that.
Yeah.
It's, Tom Osborne says, I've never seen a hearse pull a U-Haul yet. So you can't take it with you. And you got to enjoy the journey, live in the moment, and have experiences. And I've been educated those three things a lot lately by Jeremy and Justin Hoich, my sons, who are identical twins, of saying that they want those three things: experiences, live in the moment, and try to see the journey that where you can have fun every day and still be productive. And so I let them do their own thing. They didn't want my businesses or my investments. They wanted to focus their own entrepreneurial
That's awesome.
things that they're doing. One's a rock climber and one's a glass blower.
Wow. We were just talking about glass blowing yesterday.
So Scales Glass by Jeremy Hoich. Look on Instagram and Facebook. Scales Glass by Jeremy Hoich.
Oh, little shameless plug.
Little shameless plug for his son there.
Yeah.
No, I want to I was kind of curious. You talked about your business that you sold. What business was that?
So when my mother died when I was 16, I inherited a Sears Craftsman lawnmower. That was my total inheritance. And was in my sixth foster family. And so I knocked on the door next door to my foster family, the Geschwinder family that founded Randall School of Real Estate. They were my first mowing customer.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
And then she took me and said, I want you to mow my office. And so I was able to go down and 114th and Center, where Randall School of Real Estate that put probably 95% of real estate agents in Nebraska through college, through education. That was my first customer, her and her husband, and Arlene Geschwinder. And she, it was kind of funny. She says, "You're going to mow my office, you're going to mow my home, and you're going to bill my office." So I learned Business 101 that day, how to do it the right way, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But it was kind of cute back then. And I kind of grew up understanding it more and more as you try to be, as prudent as you can with your income and expenses. But it was that was the beginning, and I grew and started mowing yards and started doing apartments for PJ Morgan, and then John Lund went on his own, and I started mowing for him. And still, our company still does 45 years later, 50 years, I mowed lawns.
Wow.
Landscaping, Hoich irrigation, sprinkler systems, snow removal, and then start mowing Western Electric when I was about 25 for about 35 years. And then, which is now 120th and L to 132nd, was all that 120 acres a week. And then about 33 years old, to this day, we still mow off at Air Force Base, which is about 2,300 acres a week.
Wow.
And then that really grew. In about my late 30s, I ended up starting a company with Offutt Air Base called U.S. Grounds in 1988. And the U.S. Grounds did the military mowing at Offutt and the VA hospital. And then my Hoich Enterprises did apartments, Western Electric, office buildings, SIDs. I mowed probably 50 of them in my life. Big open common areas and stuff. And the military mowing then business went on to 9 states, mowing military bases. One time we were mowing like 25,000 acres a month.
Wow. 25,000 acres a month.
I had about 5,000 employees in my career.
Wow.
And then in 2020, 2021, sold it all off to a young man named Aaron Gunderson, whose family owns Gunderson Jewelry. Yeah. He did it all on his own with his 2 brothers and a couple of their buddies. And they kept all of our employees and all the people and gave them some ownership opportunities. Awesome. And so the legacy will go on, I hope, another 50 years.
That's awesome. Cool. So at the time of selling, how many employees did you have? You said you have 5,000 over your career?
Yeah. Depending on the science company we had, that also was one of them, and all the mowing and everything. It was close to 500 probably with everybody involved. And all the different programs, things we're involved in. And then I was involved with Proxy Bid for 20 years, that auction online business. And that was an entrepreneurial thing I was fun to be part of. And then bought my first house when I was 18, which turned into involved in 2,300 homes and apartments now.
Wow. Do you still own ownership in?
And was married 11 years, my wife Denise, and had the boys, and then she got some of the apartments. So there was more at one time.
Yeah, right.
But that was good because she's a good woman, a good mother of my children. And And then I was in business with Jerry Slusky, a real estate lawyer that's the best of the West. And he taught me so much during our 20-year partnership.
Yeah.
Did about a lot of apartment complexes with him and shopping centers and land development. And so it's been a very fun ride from the paper route at 10 to working at restaurants to mowing lawns at 16 and never stopped. So
it's not too late for us yet.
Since I was 16, I've been self-employed.
Yeah. Never, always been working for yourself since you're 16.
Had my own W-2 to sign to myself. Sign my own payroll check.
That's cool.
So I joined Rotary at 19 and joined YPO at 39, was in that. And so I just love to network and circulate to percolate is kind of my fame name, that one of my best lines, that the more you circulate, the more you percolate.
Totally. Yeah, there's a ton of truth to that.
I got it when I was a young kid watching Folgers Coffee, and it would percolate the coffee pot. And I went like, that's me. Just never stop.
Never stop. Continue to,
that's awesome.
I like that.
What's been your kind of something you love to hang your hat on to this day? I mean, there's so many things that you've done. You're like, man, not my wildest dreams, so I think I could have done that. And then it happened.
I served 18 years on the Omaha City Planning Board. I think the longest in history. And I learned so much during that time, with almost 4 terms of being blessed to be reappointed by the Douglas County Board. I was the first one to represent the Douglas County Board, but be on the City Planning Board. And those years were so rewarding, to being able to see all the huge developers that are so much smarter than me, and so geniuses of so many developers that have made Omaha a beautiful city, and Douglas and Sarpy County, and grow the way it has. Of course, City of Omaha was Douglas County, but I mean, so much of our growth in the city has just been unbelievable, with so much talent and so much vision. And to be able to be part of that and vote for it, and then see it happen and watch it happen and watch it get done. That was a big excitement for my life. It was you didn't get paid to go. You did get $6 for your lunch, but it was a wonderful time. I really enjoyed that. And, business isn't always so fun, especially the business I was in was a tough business. You had a lot of equipment, a lot of labor, a lot of contracts. And so I would really enjoyed that part of my life. And then I sat on at least 30 charity boards, and I loved every minute of that. And today I still sit on about a half a dozen. And then for the last almost 7 years, have been the vice president of the Charles E. Lakin Foundation. Mr. Lakin was was at one time the largest continued farm owner of the state of Iowa. And I started mowing his lawn and met him when I was 16. And now his son, Charles Lakin III, and his daughter, Debbie, and some other board members, we together, Steve Wild, we are all on the board of running the foundation in Council Bluffs, Iowa. So we give 6 counties in Council Bluffs, Iowa, and Douglas and Sarpy, helping people with a hand up and not a handout. Just almost in the mission statement I've had my whole life is parallel to the Lakin Foundation mission statement. And so I spend about 40 hours a week doing that for the last few years since I sold the business. I've been doing that and just love it, every minute of it. It's so rewarding to be able to help make money in my own foundation that I still give a lot, and then the Lakin Foundation, and to see the beautiful things we can do with families in resilience and need of hunger and sex trafficking and drugs, alcohol, mental illness, all those different programs, helping and giving them a hand up, and hope that their transition in life can be heroes.
Yeah. So I've got to imagine, when it comes to the city planning board, dealing with pretty big egos, people trying to make some things happen, you probably over those 25 years on the board, you saw 18 years, you just probably saw some interesting exchanges of individuals.
Well, every time you almost had a vote, somebody was winning and somebody was losing. Most of the time it was some land that was next to a existing neighborhood. It's been there for 30 or 40 years or 5 or 10 years. And all of a sudden, it's time to turn that into a strip mall or an apartment complex or a
Right.
church, and they go, no, that's supposed to be parkland.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that somebody was paying taxes on for all those years, and
Yep.
the neighbors just, you know, we were real bad people for allowing a vote to go to city council, preliminary and final plat, you know, to be able to build whatever was going to go there because it was supposed to just stay green and then dog
Right.
could go run on it and
Right.
kids play on it. And probably was the hardest one. Nobody wanted anything in their backyard, no matter what it was.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And so, and in some cases, I don't know, you know, that we never did support what needed to be done, but there was some cases, and that's why we existed, to understand that maybe you wouldn't want to put a certain type of use next to a certain use, you know, a bar next to a daycare,
Okay.
you know, so those
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
things. We also used common sense.
Yeah.
We turned them down.
Yeah.
Right.
And later that something went there that was, you know, that mutually beneficial to all concerned.
Right.
Yeah. What's some of your favorite projects? You said just a number of land development stuff. What's some of your favorite projects you've done? And that really, really.
Jerry Slusky and I did a lot at the lakeside development, and we called an area called Tivoli, where Hampton Inn is. We built that together, and we did a lot of shopping centers together, and I helped finish. I bought myself the Greyhawk development at 144th and Maple with a partner, and bought that from Cormac when things were going bad during the recession, which were the hardest days in my life. And just before the recession, bought that, and where Lowe's Michael Red Robin is, and sold it before things got real
Before things got
bad
better.
during 08 to 12. So I learned so much there. And then Southport, I did with Joe McDermott of Loveland Lawns. He was my partner, who I bought all my lawn fertilizer and seed from. And we developed what was started by Ron Smith back in 2000, Southport, out there by Cabela's.
Yep.
And we did the area where PayPal and Securities of America, we developed all that, and still own about 8 acres together left there.
Okay.
So I personally built the shopping center where Pizza West, Beyond Golf, and that is. And so that was a very successful development, but we thought we'd be in and out in 5 years. It's been 23 years. One thing I did learn, that nothing goes really the way you plan it. So when somebody says, oh, cash flow projections, real estate projections, and you say 5 years, 10 years, just double or triple or quadruple it. And
then you maybe react.
then you might be more accurate.
Yeah.
But, you know, they were all rewarding. There was some bumps in all of the roads.
Yeah.
But that just makes you stronger.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned the recession, and obviously you've rebounded. But what was that like when things were going crazy with the markets and stuff?
It was hard. I mean, you know, sleepless nights in Seattle, Omaha. I learned what the pop-ups were. A guy once told me, Elliot Gosh, one time we was building a building, and he says, you ever had the pop-ups? I said, what's a pop-up? You've never had it? No. What's a pop-up? So, well, when you get someday when the going gets tough in the real estate market, you pop up out of bed at 2 a.m, you can't get to sleep again.
Dude, is that what's happening right now?
That might be what's happening to you.
I've been told it just like before you showed up. I said, God, I don't know what it is, but in the last like 3
Literally,
or
he
4
said
days,
2 a.m. too.
I have been getting up on the spot at 2 a.m. wide awake. And I'm like,
You know the disease now.
I might have the pop-ups, man.
Having the
And I've been I was like, I don't know, maybe. And Christian's in town, so we've had a lot of ideas flowing around with everything. And
Yep.
maybe it is. Maybe it's the pop-ups. I guess the
The
pop-ups.
2 a.m. pop-ups.
2 a.m. pop-ups.
Well, I had it
Yeah.
about 4 years, and
Wow.
you know, I was on a show recently, and a friend of mine named Chris Held from Dial Realty is one of the most successful senior living owners in Omaha, and he really helped me a lot. One day I went and had lunch with him, and he, you know, and you have all these shopping centers, and Lehman Brothers Jerry and I had loans with them. I had loans with them, and they went out of business. 4,000 employees sent home on, I think it was November 8th of 08. And we had about 8 loans from them,
Wow.
myself and with other partners, and $60 million of the debt, and they wanted to had to get new
Call it
loans,
out.
and and tenants were folding. Like lawyers were calling saying the tenants needed a rent reduction, and my heart was out for all of them, and then gave them a rent reduction. And the next call from the lawyer was, well, they're filing bankruptcy. You're not going to get anything, and 10 cents on the dollar or whatever the equipment is. And it was just so hard because I didn't cause none of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And the banking crisis and the retail crisis. And I learned leverage is not good, but leverage is healthy if it's, works when it works, and it doesn't work when it doesn't work. And,
Totally.
and so I learned so much, but the biggest goal I had through it all is, it's like what Chris said that day. He says, well, if you owe the bank $1 million, you got a problem. When you owe the bank 60 million, you both got a problem. And
that's a good point.
And it really worked out that, working with the banks and working through it all, and not a judgment in my life or a lawsuit, it's just working with them. And we both took hits, and stress, and together we worked it all out so that everybody can hold their head up, but get through a tough time.
Yeah.
And it makes the good times really feel a lot better, so that I'm not getting the pop-ups and I get 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
But I learned, the biggest thing I learned that I preach to tons of people, adults and younger people, that net worth means nothing. Ego and boastfulness and arrogance, all that is just garbage. It's nobody cares what you got. They want what you got in many ways, whether it's they want success. Everybody's hungry for success. Well, what is success? It's very many things. It's not only money, it's achievements, it's goals, it's reaching your dreams. But all that is individualism. So that your net worth and what net worth is, I grew up thinking that's how you counted success.
Right.
Warren Buffett's worth this, and Howard Hughes was worth this, and all these names when I grew up, Donald Trump's just, all these people it was all about net worth. And then I realized as I had no mom, no dad, no leaders to teach me, I just thought that was the score. And when 08 to 12 came, I realized net worth, I had a lot of net worth, and it did help to get through it because I had more assets than liabilities.
Right.
But at the same time, I realized I had a major bump of no cash flow.
Yeah.
And I realized that cash flow is much more important than net worth. And from 08 to 12's lesson, I lived that for the rest of my life, and I preach it every day.
Cash flow.
Watch your cash flow and not even worry about your net worth. Like Warren Buffett says, don't even look at your stocks except for once a year. And I'd say you could do the same with your net worth. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. That makes sense to me anyways.
You were able to then pivot your business model way more on cash flow. What did that change and transition look like?
Well, my goals were no longer building net worth. It was paying off every loan I had.
Okay.
And I did. So I have, basically no loans. I have no personal debt and haven't had for a long time.
Wow.
And it feels damn good.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. You still have debt in some of your buildings? You still have debt on any of your buildings? Any
I have
units?
debt on 2 pieces of real estate is all left. So the rest is all paid off. And both of those one's coming paid off in 2028. And the other one's a longer government bond, the military housing that Burlington Capital and I own 50-50 down at Offutt Air Base. We have the 1,954 homes we rent to the military, and that's got awesome. A long-term bond on it, but it's non-contingent debt.
Okay.
So we're not personally liable, so that helps you not have pop-ups.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid.
Not as worried about it. What do you do for fun now? What have you been trying to do for fun?
I've got my concealed weapon license, so I've been going shooting a lot, learning how to just...
Where do you have to shoot at?
At the Marksman in Waterloo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I live at Valley on a lake called Timber Shore. And so I love to boat, just ordered a new pontoon.
Nice.
And my friend Milton Yen that owns Hero 88, he's my neighbor, and we go fishing and golfing at the Pines in Valley. And so I love to golf, love to fish. I bought some property in Florida, assistant living. And so that was a good excuse to force my workaholism
to go
addiction to go to Florida more often. So
where in Florida?
Tampa and Cape Coral.
Nice.
By Fort Myers, Naples.
Yep. Yep.
So I've been doing that for a few years now. I want to do it more.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And so I love to golf, love to Colorado and the mountains there. I love to snow ski a little bit and so just in travel.
Yep.
And my twin boys and I are really close, Jeremy and Justin, and we try to do a lot together. And
That's awesome.
I love God and go to church on Sundays and
Yep.
and go to the YMCA in Valley. I like to work out and stay alive and healthy. And
Yeah.
that's so God first, family second, and work third.
Yeah. Did
And-
you, when you, from all the years since you've been self-employed, you mentioned a couple of people you've been able to partner with and learn from. Other than those people, who have you had a really great intimate relationship with? Has just been a confidant, mentor?
Being in Rotary, which is the greatest thing that everyone should be, is in a service club to give a service above self, not be selfish, but help others. If I have any legacy that I want, is just that I died. Everybody said that I cared more about others than myself. Sometimes you got to take care of yourself, but
For sure.
but I'm always there for everybody else, and I love that. And I wouldn't have it any different. And so it's just caring about others, helping others, being there for others, and living life to the fullest. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you spend a lot of time with your sisters now still too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love them. And the mentors that I've had in my life, I mentor probably at least 50 different types of people in different walks in life, females, males, young and old. God gave me the gift of doing that. I love that gift, that I can just let them try to figure it out with my thoughts. I give them the thoughts and let them take it home, whatever it is, a personal or business or whatever. And I enjoy that, to give time to people. You can donate. I like to donate, but I also think that, that I know a lot of people that donate money and never help anybody.
Yeah.
And it's easy to write a
It's true.
check, but it's hard to give of your time.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoy giving of my time. And I do honor those that gave me their time. I had some great mentors in my lifetime that I respect. And, PJ Morgan was one in my earlier days, and John Lund, Alan Simon that owned Omaha Steaks, was one of the ones that I really loved. Howard Hawks from Tanaska, Joe McDermott of Loveland Lawns, a lot of these people that took time for me and cared about, talking to me, helping me through it. There was a doctor named Dr. John Alley, who was an anesthesiologist, that every time I left, I'd drive away or walk away. I said, why did I go talk to him? I already knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Well, he always had a gift to make it all your own idea. And I tried to always learn how to do what he did, because he was so good at, I'd go and see him and say, how do I fix this problem? And he would get it out of me.
Right.
How to fix it, because we all know.
I was about to say, I feel like every time we have an issue that comes up in business or whatever, you always know the answer intuitively somewhere.
Just got to implement it.
And you got to find, totally. You just got to do it. Yeah.
So a lot of people these days, I talk to people all the time, and the concept of a mentor might be either a little foreign, or, somebody says, oh, I don't really read books, I don't need to do that. Or, they get down these rabbit holes, like they do it all themselves. But how have these people, or how did you go about creating these relationships to have this mentorships, from mentoring to mentee? How did you kind of go about creating that?
Well, I mowed all those guys' yards.
Yeah.
And it was a blessing. I mean, I mowed them all, and I became their, and so how did I build a large lawn business so large that I did locally and nationwide? Was relationships.
Yeah.
And so I was not one that I'd always ask a lot of questions. My mom, before she died at 39, Rebecca, my mom's name was Becky. And my mom would always say, honey, she'd say, if you don't ask, you'll never know. And those words never left my brain. So I've always asked questions.
Yeah.
I've always surrounded myself with smarter people than me. I've always tried to be humble and give other people the credit. And anything that's been named after me is a story, not for ego, but, the Stevens Center, the Hoich Recovery Center was where my dad's bar was, right where the bar was. It was tore down and built a recovery center right there.
Wow.
Helping 32
awesome.
women and 32 men for drug, alcohol, mental illness. It's a story.
Wow.
Yeah.
And West Side with the Hoich Alumni House is, they let me stay there when I was in Burke District, and I came back and helped all these kids that are helping themselves.
That's
by the
awesome.
help,
Yeah.
a hand up,
Yeah.
and all their names are in there. And so there's a story. And so all the things that are named after me, and if there's anything in the future, I want it to relate to a story and not just names and lights. It doesn't, to me, that's not the issue. That's not the point. But to that it'll give people faith that if that kid could do it, that had no mom, no dad, and a lawnmower,
Yeah.
hell, I can do it.
Right.
Yeah.
One time I told this husband and wife the whole story, how I became a millionaire at 30 is when I made my first million. And I was telling the couple the whole story. And then the guy called me the next day. And I said, he goes, John, how are you? I go, good. He goes, guess what my wife bought me today? I go, what? A lawnmower. So
Time to get to work, right?
Get to work.
Yeah. Get to work. Yeah.
So it's kind of funny.
That is funny.
But everybody had a paper out in the lawn service.
Yep.
Yeah.
I went to UNO for 2 years, business and real estate entrepreneurship, and then took another couple of years of different part-time classes, but mainly business, real estate, and drug, alcohol, mental illness. I wanted to know why my father was an alcoholic. I've never smoked anything in my life, hardly drank, and I've just spent my whole life trying to understand addictions and trying to understand how to help others so that they can transition their life to an established life and in a normal life. And that's hard enough.
What have you found? So you've been working on this forever. I have someone close to me, their relatives that struggle with alcohol a lot. So what have you found has been like the key that you've seen to help with that, with alcohol?
They can only help themselves.
Yeah,
that's what I found. I mean, all I can do is be loving and supporting and give them at least a vision, what it's like to not have that problem. I never had that problem, but my dad did.
Right.
And I knew that it killed him. He died at 57 from 2 wives and 9 kids. He died bankrupt. At 57, he weighed 260 and he died of cirrhosis of the liver and he weighed 70 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
So, what kind of miserable life? Cirrhosis of the liver, he rotted to death.
Yeah.
But he was a violent drunk. He beat me every day from 5 years old to 11, tore me out of my bed at night, throw my head through drywall, spit in my face, telling me I was a no good, rotten little bastard and would never amount to nothing. So I never had any loving father. He beat my mother at the same time, so she couldn't help. So my self-esteem growing up was very low.
Yeah.
And living in a District 66, where I had a Schwinn bicycle and everybody else had a Trans Am.
Yeah.
A lot of them did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was like hard.
Yeah.
Insecurities and all that.
Totally. I
So
can imagine.
I'm man enough to know and man enough to admit that, it wasn't easy. And it made it even harder overcoming adversity, but I never gave up. And my dreams were to have everything and anything that I want. But even though now I can buy anything and have anything I want, I'm still very prudent and don't need things to show off. If I have extra money, I'd rather help somebody.
That's cool.
Or their family or friends, than not. It's like you said, no one's ever taken it with them.
Yeah. Do you feel like maybe part of like your dad being that way and that insecurity is what drove you to do what you've done in a way?
1,000%.
Okay.
My sons have told me both when I wanted to sell them the business, that went over about 5 seconds. And they said, we don't want your job in stereo. They're twins. And in stereo, they said, we don't want your job. I go, what's my job? They go, you're a workaholic.
Yeah.
And they said, we want experiences. We want to have, to be able to have the journey of doing what we love to do. And you gave us that opportunity. You didn't have it, but you've given that to us.
Sure.
And for them to give me the acknowledgement and the love that I've been able to let them be what they want to do and not
It's awesome.
hate what you do. You know, I hated what I did most of my career because it wasn't easy. It was hard to
Constant grind.
grind, constant grind. And you know what it is. We all know what it is today to have equipment. You know, it's so expensive to have employees that are motivated and want to
Or not motivated.
work or not motivated and trying them to understand to work hard and to be happy but also to make the customer happy, which is number one.
Right.
You know, and it's hard, very hard. The service business is hard.
Yeah.
The biggest need in the world is trades more than entrepreneurs.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
You know, everybody always wants to own their own business, but nobody wants to do the work. And so my goal is to support a lot of programs that help transition people to say, I can be a tradesperson, you know, and whatever that is. And so, I
have some friends in the trades, man, that you go from like the ultimate thing, I think, you go from trades to then owning a business in the trades. If you want to be entrepreneurial, learn to be a plumber, then start a plumbing company. Like I have some friends that have started plumbing companies and they are crushing it.
Yep.
Crushing it.
Well, you know, you can do both. You
exactly.
Can start it and own it.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, even if everybody owned everything they did, it was great. You know, so I know a guy that sells hamburgers.
Me too.
But
he does pretty well.
You know, it's just that you gotta love. If you love what you do, that old saying, then it's not work. And
right.
I never could say that till now. The foundation that I'm involved in now with the Charles E. Lakin Foundation. Since I've started, I've loved every moment of it. I love the apartments that I own and the real estate that I own, and I just love doing what I'm doing. I always loved real estate. Loved that. You know, except for
in 08.
08 to 12.
08 to 12.
The retail sector was tough.
Yeah.
Well, how tough was it?
You know, office buildings are tough. We had a couple of those. Retail was very tough.
Yeah.
Apartments I love because I understand it.
Yeah.
And Buffett says if you understand what you do, you know, that stay in what you know.
Yeah.
Buffett says if you fail, failing is only getting down, not staying down. So we've been so blessed to have Warren Buffett in our lives in Omaha, but listening to him and learning is what it's about. Not
Him
what
and
his
Charlie
worth
Munger,
is.
man. I've read Munger's books a couple times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think Charlie Munger is almost like the secret sauce of the company. Sometimes I feel like.
Well, they
go off each other.
Yeah, they say common sense things.
Yeah,
so
totally.
in my book, I have Hoichisms.
Okay.
You know, and instead of saying I coulda, shoulda, woulda, I say I dida.
I love that.
I love it.
And just all the different things that we've all do every day. How do we look at it a different way, positive way, and not have people wanting to feel sorry for you, but to motivate with you, and you motivate them, and everybody wins.
Yeah, it's awesome. So it sounds like moving forward, you got a pretty clear path of what you're going to do.
Yep.
From now on, you're going
buy low and sell high.
That too. Yeah. But you're going to stay involved with, I guess I'll call it philanthropy work, right?
Yeah, I would say that, you know, God is important in my life.
Yep.
My trainer at the YMCA kicks my butt several days a week. And
it's good. You need that, right?
Stay healthy, drink a lot of water, get 8 hours of sleep, and stay away from the pop-ups.
Stay away from the pop-ups.
Stay away from pop-ups.
And love on your family and, you know, unconditionally.
Yep.
Have appreciation and not expectations. And give back all you can and help all those and give time to others, especially when they need it.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm burying a really close friend of mine that was a third owner of Applied Underwriters that sold out to Buffett. And he was only 54. He died last Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
Clay Cox. So please be with the Clay Cox family and prayers. And we're burying him tomorrow at 54. He had a sudden heart attack and he was helping Ron Carson and, you know, with Carson Enterprises and Wealth. And I talk to him almost every day. He'd text me or call me. And for the last 16 years, we've been friends, and I'll really miss him. And his son, Caleb, was in college with my son at UNO in the same dorm. And the entrepreneur program that I'm on the board at UNO for 25 years in the College of Business Advisory Board. I love, you know, and it was so UNO has been wonderful. And Caleb went there, and Clay and I were so proud of our boys, and we just talk often. he's got a daughter, Avery, 21, and a beautiful wife, Chris. And it's just been a hard few days, but it's been a wake-up call to realize he had a lot of money. He had no debt, sold his business to Buffett. Not too many people have done that. And at the same time, unfortunately, he's gone.
Yeah.
And so then another wake-up call that those 3 words that I really hate hearing all the time, but life is short.
Yeah.
So what do you do to make the best of it? And how can you make it a better place? And what's your legacy when you pass?
Kind of on that, I was curious, going back from everything in your life, is there anything you would change?
Well, I love karaoke. So if I could have been a singer and went all over on cruise ships and saw the world, I think that'd have been fun.
Okay.
That would have been cool.
So can you carry a tune?
Yeah, I love to sing.
Do you? That's cool.
And play the guitar a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm getting better a little bit at a time, but
What's if you're like, you know what? Why don't you dial that song up? I'm gonna nail that one right now. That karaoke.
Oh yeah, what's your go-to
what's your
song?
go-to song?
probably Suspicious Minds by Elvis.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Love Elvis.
Interesting.
Did you see the new movie on it?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It was, well, thank you very much.
Did you ever see him in concert?
No,
No.
he died when I was 18.
Okay.
And I wasn't fortunate to see it. That's when I was still on welfare and food stamps. So I didn't get that opportunity. But, you know, I was, but, you know, he was a great man. And some of the greatest are gone. We all know that. And
seriously.
And
it just makes me think with what you just talked about, your friend passing. And we were talking about, I don't know if it was yesterday or what, but about this little, we both have young kids, about this little baby that passed at 5 months old from a condition. Yeah. And I'm just like thinking, not many things really matter. You know, there's not too many things that really matter in this life. And we make big deals out of these little things.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love. That's what matters.
That's right.
It's true. Well, I think that was the perfect way to wrap this up. I want to be, you know, appreciative of your time and coming here. I really, really, really appreciate you coming here and doing this with us. So,
Well, thanks for reaching out to the world wherever this goes and whoever hears it.
Yep.
Never give up.
Yeah.
Love on your family and friends. Put them as an importance above yourself, service above self, and get a good night's sleep. Drink a lot of water and say your prayers before you go to bed.
Stay away from pop-ups.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, thanks, John. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it.
God
See you
bless
guys.
Thanks, man.
Sweet. Hey, guys, thanks so much for watching the podcast. Really appreciate it. As always, if you got any real estate related things that you need, this show is fully sponsored by our personal real estate business. Hit below where it says schedule a call with us, get on our personal calendars, call, text, email us, whatever's best for you. Happy to help you in any way we can on the real estate side of things. Thanks, guys. Peace.